to talk English easily? Hit subscribe for helpful advice and fun ways to practice. I remember the day I first met Lily like it was yesterday. It wasn't a grand moment or a life-changing event. We met at a coffee shop, both sitting alone, both lost in our thoughts. I was struggling with where I was in life, unsure about my career, my future, and, to be honest, a little unsure about myself. She was just sitting there, calm and content, sipping her coffee like she had all the answers. I'd always thought I needed to have it all figured out. Society tells you that, right? You need a plan, purpose, a clear path. There's this pressure to know exactly what you want, to race ahead and get there as quickly as possible. But I didn't feel that way. I felt lost, stuck. Lily, on the other hand, seemed like she had it all together. She had a job she loved, a solid group of friends, and an energy about her that made everything seem easy. On the other hand, was just trying to keep my head above water, wondering if I was even on the right track. We started talking that day, and before I knew it, we were meeting up more often. As we spent time together, I noticed something. Lily didn't have all the answers. She didn't have everything perfectly planned out, either. But she had something I didn't, a sense of peace with where she was. She wasn't rushing towards some ideal future. She was present. She was okay with the uncertainty. One evening, we were sitting on a park bench, watching the sunset, when I confessed how I felt like I was falling behind in life. I'm not where I thought I'd be at this point, I said. I'm still figuring things out. I don't know what I'm doing, and it feels like everyone else has it together. Lily smiled softly, the way someone does when they've learned a lesson the hard way. You don't have to have it all figured out, she said. None of us do. I think that's the mistake we all make. We think we have to know everything, have all the answers, and get it right the first time. But growth doesn't work like that. You're not falling behind. You're exactly where you need to be. Those words stayed with me, and over time, I started to understand what she meant. It wasn't that I needed to catch up with anyone or have everything in perfect order. What I needed was to give myself permission to be where I was. It's okay not to have all the answers. It's okay not to know where you're going. As long as you're moving forward, even if it's just one step at a time. I'll tell you something I learned through all of this. Life is a lot less about rushing to the finish line and a lot more about the journey. And the journey isn't always straight. Sometimes it's winding, sometimes it's slow, but that's okay. You don't need to follow someone else's timeline. You don't need to compare your progress to others. As Lily and I spent more time together, I also began to understand something important about love. It wasn't about finding someone who had everything figured out. It was about finding someone who could walk beside you, even when you didn't have all the answers. Love, I realized, is less about being perfect and more about being real, being honest, and learning together as you go. We don't always know where life is going to take us, and that's the beauty of it. Life doesn't always unfold in the ways you expect, and sometimes that's for the best. It's in those uncertain moments that we often grow the most. And if you can trust the process, trust the timing of your life, and trust yourself, everything will fall into place. I won't lie to you. There are still moments when I doubt myself, when I question whether I'm on the right path. But now, I know that's okay. I'm learning to trust that even if I don't have it all figured out, I'm still moving forward. And as for Lily, we're still together. Our relationship isn't perfect, but it's real. We're both still figuring out life, but we're doing it together. And sometimes, just knowing that you're not alone on the journey is enough. So here's my advice to you. Stop trying to rush through life to get to some perfect version of yourself or your future. It's okay not to have everything figured out. It's okay to take your time. Life is messy and unpredictable, and sometimes that's exactly what makes it beautiful. Trust the process, trust yourself, and trust that you are exactly where you need to be, even if you don't have all the answers. And if love is part of your journey, remember this: it's not about finding someone who has it all together. It's about finding someone who is willing to grow with you, step by step. So, take your time, keep moving forward, and know that even in the uncertainty, there is so much beauty waiting to be discovered. Months passed, and I began to see the world differently. That conversation with Lily had shifted something deep inside me. I stopped rushing through my days, stopped measuring my worth against everyone else's timeline. Instead, I started focusing on the moments, the small victories, the quiet progress. It wasn't an overnight change. There were still days when doubt crept in, when I questioned whether I was doing enough, being enough, or moving fast enough. But instead of letting those feelings take over, I reminded myself of what Lily had taught me. Growth doesn't happen on a schedule. It's a process, a journey, and you can't force it. During this time, I learned something else: the importance of being present, not just in my own life but in the lives of the people I care about. The more I let go of the pressure to figure it out, the more I was able to be fully there for others, especially Lily. We began talking about deeper things, not just about our careers or what we thought we wanted, but about our fears, our dreams, and the paths we were on. Lily had always been open and honest about her ambitions. She wasn't afraid to go after what she wanted. But over time, I saw that her journey wasn't without doubt either. Even though she appeared confident, she, too, had moments of uncertainty. She struggled with balancing her ambitions with her desire for connection, for peace. She wasn't immune to the pressures of life, even if she wore them well. It was in those moments that I realized the real value of a relationship. Being able to share your doubts without fear of judgment. Lily and I weren't perfect. We had our differences, our miscommunications, our moments of frustration. But we also had the trust to be vulnerable with each other. And that, more than anything, helped me find a deeper sense of peace. One evening, we sat on a park bench, just like we had many months ago, watching the sunset. The sky was painted in rich shades of orange and purple, and I found myself reflecting on how far we had come, not just as individuals but as a couple. You know, I said, I used to think love was about finding someone who had everything figured out, someone who was perfect, who always had the answers. But now I realize that love is about being willing to walk alongside each other, even when things are uncertain. Lily smiled, her eyes softening. Exactly. No one has it all figured out. We're all just doing our best, one step at a time. Love is about showing up, even when you're unsure. It's about supporting each other while you both grow. In that moment, I understood that our relationship wasn't about perfect timing or perfectly matching paths. It was about supporting each other's growth, even when we didn't know exactly where we were headed. It was about presence, being fully there, no matter how uncertain things seemed. That's when I realized that all of us, every single one of us, is a work in progress. We may have moments when we feel lost, stuck, or behind, but that doesn't define who we are. It's just a moment in time. The journey isn't about getting somewhere. It's about who you become along the way. And the more I let go of the pressure to be there already, the more I could enjoy the journey, step by step, day by day. As I continued to grow, I started to see opportunities where I had once seen obstacles. I was taking on new challenges, trying new things, and embracing the unknown with more confidence. And while I still didn't have everything figured out, I realized that I didn't need to. I was learning, evolving, and becoming a better version of myself, not by rushing, but by being patient and present. A few months later, we took a trip together, just a short weekend getaway to a quiet little town by the coast. As we walked along the beach, the sun setting in front of us, I couldn't help but smile. Here we were, still on our own paths, still figuring things out. But we were doing it together, sharing the journey, supporting each other. And somehow, it felt like everything was exactly as it should be. As we sat on the beach that night, Lily looked at me and said, "I'm proud of you, you know." Proud of me? I laughed. For what? For trusting the process. For letting go of the pressure to know everything. For just being yourself. It's beautiful to see you growing. Her words stuck with me, and I realized that the best thing I could do for myself, and for the people I loved, was to simply be present. To show up for the moments, not worry about the end result. True strength isn't in having all the answers. It's in trusting that you'll find your way, step by step. If you're reading this and feeling lost or unsure, I want you to know something. It's okay not to have everything figured out right now. You don't need to rush your life to match some idea of perfection. Trust that, in time, the pieces will fall into place. Growth comes when you least expect it, when you allow yourself to simply live, to feel, and to be. And as for love, love is not about finding someone who has it all figured out. It's about finding someone who is willing to walk with you, as imperfect as you both are, through all the uncertainties. The beauty of love is in its willingness to grow together, to learn together, and to be present through it all. So take your time, trust your journey, and remember, you're exactly where you need to be. As the days went by, life started to settle into a rhythm that felt right. It wasn't perfect, but it was real, and it was mine. It wasn't about chasing after some idealized version of success or happiness anymore. It was about finding meaning in the present moment and trusting that everything, no matter how messy or uncertain, had its place in the grand story of my life. Lily and I continued to grow, together, but also separately. We each learned to trust our own paths, but we also found strength in walking alongside each other. I stopped comparing my journey to hers or anyone else's. I realized that each of us is on a unique journey, and it's not about rushing to meet some expected milestone. The value is in living fully in each moment, embracing each chapter of your story as it unfolds. We still had our challenges, our tough days, and moments when we questioned what came next. But we learned to show up for each other, to support each other, and to be patient with the process. And in those moments, when I found myself doubting, I would remember the simple lesson that Lily had shared with me. It's not about having everything figured out. It's about being willing to trust the journey and grow with it. I've come to understand that life isn't a race, nor is love about perfection. It's about showing up, embracing the uncertainty, and finding joy in the moments of growth. It's about the small steps, the moments when you allow yourself to just be and trust that you are moving exactly as you should be. And as for Lily and me, we're still figuring things out, and that's okay. Because at the end of the day, it's not about the destination. It's about the journey and the people who walk beside you along the way. So, to anyone out there feeling uncertain, like you're falling behind, or like you're not enough, you are enough. You are exactly where you need to be. Don't rush, don't compare, and don't be afraid to let life unfold. The journey, in all its twists and turns, is where you'll find your strength, your purpose, and your peace. And love? Love will meet you there, in the realness of who you are, growing and evolving, step by step, just like you are. Trust the process, trust yourself, and enjoy the journey. Moral of the story: growth takes time, and it's okay not to have everything figured out. Trust your own path, embrace the journey, and be patient with yourself. Life isn't about rushing to an ideal future or trying to be perfect. It's about being present, learning, and growing step by step. True love and fulfillment come from accepting who you are and trusting that you are exactly where you need to be, even when the road ahead is uncertain. This story teaches us to let go of the pressure to have it all together and to focus on the process of growth, both in ourselves and in our relationships. It's a reminder that life unfolds at its own pace and that there's beauty in the journey, even when the destination isn't clear. Let's enrich our vocabulary with some new words. Uncertain, not sure or clear about something. Having doubt or ambiguity. Example: I was still unsure about my future. Struggling, experiencing difficulty or hardship in achieving something. Example: I was struggling with where I was in life. Ambition, a strong desire to achieve something, often requiring hard work and determination. Example: she had big dreams and a strong ambition to succeed. Vulnerable, capable of being easily hurt or wounded, often used to describe emotional openness. Example: we had the trust to be vulnerable with each other. Confidence, feeling of self-assurance and belief in one's abilities. Example: she had a confidence that inspired me. Doubt, a feeling of uncertainty or lack of conviction. Example: I had doubts about whether I was on the right track. Journey, a process of self-discovery or change over time. Example: love is about showing up, even when you're unsure. It's about supporting each other while you both grow. Fulfillment, a sense of satisfaction and accomplishment from achieving something meaningful. Example: life isn't about rushing to an ideal future or trying to be perfect. It's about finding fulfillment in the moments. Imperfect, not flawless or without faults. Human and real. Example: we're still figuring things out, and that's okay, because love is about being imperfect together. I'm so glad you spent this time with me. If you liked the story, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more. Take care, and see you next time.